Hey there, my name is Emily Good, and today I am talking about my thoughts on The Opposite of Butterfly Hunting, written by Evanna Lynch, which, if you do not know who Evanna Lynch is, it's this girl. And she is probably the best known for playing Luna Lovegood in the Harry Potter movies. But if you're about to turn away because you're not into the Harry Potter movies, I encourage you to look into Evanna Lynch's memoir because it doesn't have a whole lot to do with the Harry Potter movies. I thought it was going to be about the Harry Potter movies and how she became Luna Lovegood, and that is a tiny part of it, I won't lie to you, but it is not the main aspect of the memoir, so keep listening. I think that you should read this. I think it's okay, so it's The Opposite of Butterfly Hunting, the tragedy and the glory of growing up. So it starts out, Evanna Lynch, it starts out as a child, believe it or not, that's the beginning. And basically she is a child who enjoys her little artsy things. She enjoys coming home and creating things. She loves to create. She loves to do art. And it starts out with her becoming afraid to grow up. She's kind of an awkward child. She doesn't really fit in with the other kids. She's, an outcast, and she becomes uncomfortable with that, and she becomes afraid of growing up, basically. I don't think that her mom really has the best self-confidence, and that kind of, I believe, rubs off on Evanna, and she basically becomes afraid to grow up, which in turn leads to her developing an eating disorder because she wants to stay small. So, and the eating disorder lasts the entire book because it's something that she still to this day deals with every single day. It's intrusive thoughts. It is her constantly having a battle going on in her mind, and it takes you through her battle with herself, battle with self-loathing for her body. She is not a fan of her body, and that's something that she deals with in the book, and that's something that she deals with and she talks about. And I thought that the entire experience of the book was beautiful, and I'm going to tell you why I believe that. So I loved this book. I was not expecting this. I don't know a lot about eating disorders. I've never had an eating disorder. I'm not close with anybody who had an eating disorder, or where we talk about that very much. So it was really interesting. I know a lot about addiction. I do know a lot about that. That runs in my family, and I have experienced it firsthand. So I'm familiar with that. I also watch a lot of intervention, but when it comes to an eating disorder, I didn't know anything about that. I didn't know about the intrusive thoughts. I thought it was just about wanting to be skinny, versus it was really interesting that, like, it's not just about being skinny, it's about control. It's about, like, I don't want to say punishing yourself, but it's like the way that she described it was like, I was the strongest. Like, fat people were weak. They lost the battle, and I could win. Like, she thought that by not eating and by starving herself and putting herself through the uncomfortability of that she was winning, that she was more worthy of happiness, of looking good, of whatever. She felt like she was more worthy because she was able to starve herself, whereas other people were just lazy and fat and weren't worthy, basically. And that's a crazy thing to say, and it was probably a crazy thing for her to write, but it was literally like going inside of her mind, which what more could you want out of a memoir? But it was so interesting to me to read the thoughts of a person with an eating disorder, because it's absolutely a world that I knew nothing about, and it was so fascinating to me. She's got so much self-loathing, which again, I would not have ever imagined what this girl was going through. I love her. I know her from Harry Potter, so me seeing Luna Lovegood on the screen, which of course she's acting, I understand that, but she just has such an airy presence about her, and she really became Luna Lovegood. So to read about the struggle she was going through even during Harry Potter was crazy. It was really, really wild. So I will also talk about something that I also want to talk about with this was through her recovery. So obviously her parents are seeing like her starving herself. They finally like realize that she's starving herself. And they take her to all these therapists, of course. They get her all this treatment. She ends up getting hospitalized twice. And through all of this experience, all these doctors, all these treatments that she has to go to, only one person of all these different doctors, of all these different treatment centers, only one person asks her, like sits down with her and says, how are you? Like, what are you feeling? What is going on? Okay, so my kids are sitting here with me. So yeah, of all the different doctors, of all the different treatment centers, anybody that she talks to, basically only one person like actually asks her, tries to get to the root of the problem. It's this lovely lady. What is her name? I think it's Natasha. She is my favorite counselor I've ever met, and I didn't meet her obviously, but she was the epitome of greatness. She sat down with her. She let Evanna cry. And I really honestly thought that it was such a testament, such a dig at the healthcare system, at the mental health thing that we've got going on in apparently all countries. I am in America, but she was over in Ireland, and she also went to the UK, and she was in London, and apparently they deal with it the same way. So I have dealt with mental health. I have mental health a situation going on. And I'm even dealing with it like when I was younger, like her age, when she started dealing with it. You go to a psychiatrist and they give you these pills, or in her case, they just forced her to eat. Basically, they like locked her up and forced her to eat instead of getting to the root of the problem. Like, hey, why do you have an eating disorder? Like, what's going on? Like, how can we help you? They don't deal with the mental health. They deal with the like, okay, let's give her pills or let's force her to eat, and then she won't be anorexic anymore. Because if we're forcing her to eat, she's not going to be anorexic. And like she talks about that a lot, and I do feel like that is a major issue, that we just push these pills, we push these pills generally, but like in her case, they force her to eat and like lock her in a room and are really nasty to her and don't give a shit at all about like, hey, we're not actually getting to the root of the problem. We're actually causing more trauma for this poor young girl. And all these young girls who were institutionalized because their parents didn't know what the hell else to do. But oh shit, yeah, I don't have pants on. But yeah, so it was really wild to read about her experience and to read about how nasty they were to all these young girls in dealing with these issues. And yeah, so that was another big aspect, was how nasty these healthcare providers were to these young girls. But you've got Natasha who comes in and who is really kind and is there with Evanna and really lets her cry and tries to teach her meditation and tries to teach her masturbation, just trying to get her to love her body and trying to really sit with her, which is something that she was never encouraged to do. She was never taught to love herself. She was just forced to eat. Basically, that was how they dealt with her anorexia. Another amazing aspect of the book, of course, I had to talk about was how Evanna became Luna Lovegood. It is a magical story, and I will kind of give you the rundown of it, even though I think that you do need to read this book. So while Evanna was hospitalized, she was obsessively reading Harry Potter. She loved Harry Potter, and I will tell you that I know that J.K. Rowling, I know that we've got like these things that she said and all this stuff, but here's what I'll say. This Evanna Lynch is a young child before she was famous, obviously before she was Luna. She wrote to J.K. Rowling because she just loved the book so much. It was impacting her so much. She loved it. She loved the world. J.K. Rowling wrote back and forth with Evanna for years. They were pen pals. J.K. Rowling always responded to her. And I don't know a lot of authors who do that. So there is some kindness in her. And I honestly thought that I thought that was beautiful, that she did that. And that wasn't actually what helped Evanna get the role of Luna Lovegood. She didn't even tell J.K. Rowling that she was like auditioning or anything. Or yeah, she did. I forget what happened, but like Evanna didn't tell the producers that she was like pen pals with J.K. Rowling. So, and I will also say something else. I actually wrote to J.K. Rowling when I was young, and I don't know where it's at now, but she sent me back. She didn't write me like a whole letter, but she did send me an autographed picture of her, which I had in a frame for the longest time, and I might have thrown it away or something like that. I purge shit sometimes, and I don't have it anymore. But she also wrote me back, so that's that's saying something, I feel like. So that's what I'll say about that. But the story of how Evanna got Luna, when she read the 5th book, which is where Luna is introduced, she was hospitalized, and she first read about Luna, and she loved Luna. She loved everything about her. She wanted to be like Luna because Luna is the essence of self-acceptance and not worrying, not giving a shit what anybody else thinks of you. She just is who she is. She just is. And that was what Evanna was really struggling with, and she just really, really wanted to be like Luna. She wanted to be Luna. So it was a beautiful way to read about her becoming, because I feel like a lot of the Harry Potter characters, it was an acting job for them, whereas for Evanna, like Luna was everything to her. And that was what helped her get through the audition process, was because she was Luna. She went in there, she wasn't nervous, she did it for Luna. She didn't worry about the lines of hundreds of other girls who looked just like her. She wasn't worried about that. She just went in and was Luna, and it was a beautiful okay, so I can't remember what I was saying. I can't remember. My kids are going crazy. And the way that she got the part, she just became Luna, and she ended up getting the part, and it was beautiful. And I am so glad that she got the part. I love her, and that's all I'll say about that. Since I am being bombarded with children, I'm just gonna read you some of my favorite quotes that really like made me go, yes, I love this. So here I go. The thing about sharing shameful, dark secrets out loud is that by exposing them to light, you can see them from all angles, objectively, for what they are. And the shame and discomfort you built up around them gradually resolve. So that was what she wrote while she was in therapy with Natasha, the wonderful counselor, how much it helped her to just constantly be talking about things versus holding it inside. And I think that that's a powerful message for anybody who has a hard time voicing their concerns or voicing what they're upset about or voicing what they're afraid of. I think that it was beautiful the way that she wrote that like the more you talk about it, the less scary it is. So yeah. So this is again about Natasha, her favorite counselor, where all the other doctors were like getting angry and defensive when Evanna would fall back into her anorexia. They would like get offended by it. She wrote about Natasha: she didn't punish me or bully me into eliminating all my disorderly habits at once. And she didn't punish me or take it personally when I stumbled from one week to the next. She just stayed with me, held space for every feeling. Held space for every feeling, all the fear, anxiety, regret, and pain, and made sure, however unsteady on my feet, that I just keep going down the path. I thought that that was so beautiful. I think that we could all, like, especially me as a mom to 2 little kids, especially a daughter, what I hope that I take from this, me personally, is sometimes you don't need to give advice. You don't need to you don't need to project your shit onto another person who's coming to you and venting to you. Sometimes all you need to do is just sit, hold space, and just be there. Just allow the person to experience their wave of emotions without trying to force anything. I thought that was really beautiful. Okay, so this is something that she wrote. This next quote is something that she wrote when she was on Dancing with the Stars, and I think it was like the Halloween night, if you want to look it up. It's the night that she was a cat on the Halloween special of Dancing with the Stars, and they did a beautiful job. She really let go, and she just kind of let go and did a beautiful job. And like that wasn't good enough for her. So they got 10s on their like scoring, and it was the best that they'd ever done. And she still could not just like allow herself to enjoy that. She couldn't just, she told her dancing partner, like, okay, we need to go over all the different mistakes that we made, like, so that we can be better next week. And he was like, no, I'm not doing that. We did a beautiful job. I'm done. You do whatever you want. And she wrote this about that. She said, a negative thought brings you to a halt, whereas a positive one facilitates growth. Negativity always leads you to a dead end. You can crawl into the darkest, dankest corner, and though it is lonely and miserable, you know where the wall is. Your back firmly pressed against it, and there is something wonderfully safe about that. When you choose positivity, on the other hand, you choose limitless potential. And whatever you look at with positivity grows and spreads and unfurls in 1,000 different directions. If I wanted to reach a safe space where nobody could touch me, I needed only follow a negative thought down to it. But if I wanted to grow and create and evolve, I needed to follow the golden thread of creativity that didn't seem to have an end. It was a choice I'd been unconsciously making my whole life, and there was no denying that it was a choice. So you have... Okay, buddy. Yeah, so I thought that was beautiful, the way that she wrote about the difference between positive and negative. I've never heard it put like that before. Okay, it would not be a video unless Stella made an appearance. So Yeah, about that last quote, I just thought that it was beautiful the way that she so perfectly described it. Negative thinking is such a killer. It's such a buzzkill. It's something that I resort to quite often. And it was amazing the way that she said it, that negative thinking, there was no bravery in that at all. It's just like, nope, sorry, can't do it. Nope, sorry, this sucks. Nope, sorry. Versus like, oh my gosh, but what if this happens? Like, what if a good thing happened? What if something positive? What if something wonderful? What if, like, oh my gosh, and then there could be this, and then there could be this, and it was like beautiful. I loved the way that she said it. Okay, so I have one more quote. I don't know what this video will look like, but I just kind of wanted to air out my thoughts on this book because I loved it, and I want to remember always what I thought about this book. So here is this video. Okay, now I remember this quote. Okay, so this is when, so like I said, she's had a lot of, obviously she has lots of issues with her body. She struggles a lot with self-love. Like she doesn't really resonate with that right now at this point in the book. And she's, like she actually used to, so like on different forums when she was playing Luna, like she would get on these different sites where like people were talking mean about her and like talking bad about her body, and she actually created a fake username, like an alias, and would get on there and be the meanest bully about herself, meaner than any of these other strangers. Like she was getting on there and like talking so mean about herself. And so that's something interesting. And now she said, I decide now in this moment that I want it. She's talking about her body. I want this body. I want to inhabit her, enjoy her, care for her, and defend her in this world. And I no longer want to be yet another voice telling her she's disgusting or embarrassing or inadequate or too much. I want to be one of those arresting voices of love and compassion, to offer her a space where she can go to restore, to feel safe, to grow. And I don't want to be another person spreading hatred towards women in a society that has already profited too much from the pain of the female body. One day, not too far in the distant future, this body will be a pile of decaying flesh and dust in the ground. But for now, she's alive and vibrant, and I want to stop hurting her. I don't even need to say anything about that. It's gorgeous, beautiful. I think that more women could read it. I think that, I know for myself, like it's always like I want to lose 10 more pounds. Like, oh gosh, look at that part of my body. Oh gosh, like, oh, look at what my face is doing. Like, ugh, whatever. I try to get past that, and I try to like be really loving towards myself, but as women, I think it's just something that comes because that's what society like wants. So I think that I loved the way that she came into her own and started to love herself, and I vow to do it too, so that I can show my daughter to do the same. So thank you so much for watching. Take good care. Bye.